Trups. I think we're live. Yes. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Yes, exactly. Welcome, everyone, to this week's political... Yes! This week's political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. There you go, I got it.
We're professionals.
Well, yeah, it might just be like the stream thing. Maybe I'll put that where the donation bar's meant to be. We're professionals, in air quotes. Yes. Joining me as always, if you hadn't noticed already, is Trups LP. Say hello, Trups LP.
Hello, Trups LP.
Thank you for exaggerating just as I did. How is Trups LP?
I tried to match you. You know, sipping on espresso.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Yeah, okay, so, like, for my fiance's birthday...
Happy birthday to her.
Well, it was a while ago, but, like, a while
Okay,
back.
belated.
Oh, well, I mean, yes, it's okay, thank you, though. We had... my parents asked me, they're like, all right, what do you want? What does she want? That kind of thing. And I don't want for much, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered, like, around Christmas time, we had talked about getting a new, like, espresso maker.
Oh, yeah.
And, we, you know, it took me 7 months to remember it. And I was like, oh, yeah, we'll just get that. Yeah. Send that. That. It will be great.
Works out.
And
That's
ever
fantastic.
since, like, we decided to actually, like, break it open, we've been using it pretty much every single day. I think minus a couple, but yeah.
I envy you and don't at the same time. But as long as it serves its purpose, well, which is all that matters, really, right? Even if it is...
Right, well, I mean, we're using it.
I just want to... Just one thing I've never liked about gift giving is when someone asks you what you want.
Oh, it's the worst. I have no idea what to answer most of the time because I don't want for much.
To me, it's the same for me, to be honest. It's just, to me, it's more the concept of you can't think of something. Okay.
Honestly, I'm the worst gift giver, but I'm also the worst gift getter.
I'm the worst gift receiver because I get incredibly awkward. At Christmas, I don't open gifts. I entrust this to my nieces or I forget about them for several months. In fact, I think it was only in 2016 I didn't open any presents from 2015 until August because I forgot about them and...
Oh, you're the worst. That's even worse than me.
I think I probably... To be fair, I think I knew they were there. I just... At that time, I didn't feel like I deserved them. Which was my mentality. It was like I was really low income at the time, struggling to get by and all that. So I was like, why give me stuff? I don't... didn't feel like I earned it.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's why I don't like getting gifts, because it's like, if I want it, like... I'm in a place now where I can just get it for myself.
That's pretty much my view as well. My sisters have this other mentality of we won't spend too much, and then they overspend and buy too much for their kids. And I'm sat back like, our parents did this and they struggled and we suffered for it because we went hungry sometimes. It's just if you want to get someone a gift, get them one gift. Then they don't expect too much, and they won't be ungrateful, or they won't lose it, or they won't be so careless with it.
Make gifts special, chat. That's our advice to you.
Yeah, hand make them. Although actually, I did. Everyone, very few people on the server know. Last year, I made my niece a ocarina with my 3D printer. She hasn't played it once.
And you know what? A great gift to any Omegon fan in your family is a lovely handcraft Omegon and squid plush you can find on his Etsy store down below. It's somewhere, I believe.
No, you probably have to wait for Karma or Keith or someone else to link it.
Karma, if you could find that, I'd be
please do that. Yeah, do us a solid.
Shill that because
yes, please.
He shills me.
That's great of you. Actually, that was very clever. Turns out though, she just chewed it, broke it. She's nearly 7, and she wanted an ocarina as well. And I was like, I made you one, but it's not new. You what? Fucker! I should have just kept it for myself. I spent ages. That took me 3 attempts to make it because it kept on cocking up. Anyway, yeah, massive distraction.
Thank you, Karma.
Thank you for doing that. Yes, it's been all right on my end, by the way. For people who are asking. it's mostly been just work, and work, really.
Yo, same.
I don't really mind, though, because it's keeping me busy. We have stuff going on tomorrow. I was going to go for a ride, but tomorrow, that is, but I think I'm going to be doing some more building work instead, which sucks, because I want to get on the bike. And I've been playing on my guitar a bit more, which is nice. Oh, I'm working on redoing a guitar I upgraded a while ago, because I feel like
Oh yeah. How is that working out? The new pedal working out?
Yeah, it's doing fine, thank you, actually, yeah. I was sent some clone pedals, and I've been meaning to test a few more of them out. So I'll be doing that as well, which will be fun. Because since there's no computer day tomorrow, I can turn my amp up to 11. No problems.
Nice.
Right.
All right, so where should we start on the actual thing? Political aspects of this week, because I know that America has been interesting.
It's not been
it's
that
mainly
interesting, to be honest.
It's mainly focused on a couple of very interesting sorry, minor stroke points or parts, depending on which one.
It could be both.
Don't say both. And so we can touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah, I thought perhaps we'll talk about the UK. Boris didn't do very well in PMQs. Now that they're doing it properly, next week I will start streaming full responses to PMQs. I think I will continue doing the midweek Moisky news, one video a week, because it's just not. And this could sound really, really selfish, but it's not cost effective, because it takes me a while to edit those videos, even if it's a 5-minute video. It's not really worth it, to be honest, because I'm not getting anywhere with it growth-wise. So I'm just gonna stick to the streams and the one video on this channel, because I think it's a better use of time, if that makes sense. But I saw it. I was going to respond to it, but I had committed to something else, and Boris did not do well. He tried to attack someone on human rights, Starmer that is, and Keir Starmer, as anyone would know, he was a lawyer who dealt with human rights. It's a bit of a shit argument to go, and so while Starmer is pulling up there are a number of polls already. There was a trending hashtag of resign or PM resign or something like that, because people want Boris out, or they think Boris is going to go. There's this belief, long-held belief, that he'd leave soon because he's only just recovered from a coronavirus and he doesn't know what to do. He blah blah blah. I don't think he will. I hope he doesn't. I think if he did, that would be really bad for this particular run of the Conservatives in government. I think if it happened, there'd be another election within a year of whoever took over, and Keir would win. He really would, because he doesn't have to prove anything right now. That's the difference. And so Boris isn't looking good because of it. A number of U-turns when it came to education. My nieces, 2 of them anyway, went back to school this week. And that's great news. There are a number of issues, but it's a good start to get kids back in school. They do need to go. People are obsessing over the infection rate of coronavirus instead of the deaths. I don't know why they're not looking at deaths and instead only focusing on infections, because if they looked at the deaths and correlated the two, they'd notice...
Really? You don't know why?
I do know why. I'm just being a dick on purpose.
I don't know why. They're intentionally misinterpreting data.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Because if they bothered, and obviously we know why, but if they had actually bothered to look at the number of deaths, they'd realise it doesn't work anymore. It's not correlating. The measures are yielding a good result. But also the fact that wider spread testing, it would of course lead to the numbers going up. There's still belief there'll be a second wave. I am not convinced. I'm hoping not, because I managed to secure some more work. I really don't want to lose it before I've even started it. Which is a big deal for me, because I want the money. And so it's Boris is not doing well. He's not doing very well at the moment. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, is going to raid the middle classes, it's believed, raising tax for those who earn mid to high 5 to 6 figures, which affects a couple of people I know quite badly. But I understand why, because a £33 billion debt has been created, and he now needs to find a way to pay it off we might get rid of the bat bath actually at some point, or we might keep the bat bath and get rid of the caution stuff because we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, can we put it on a shelf and just like keep like a history of things?
I'll have a word with our resident artist or autist.
Yay!
Both. That would be Pencil Cookie. We'll have a word with her and see it. Well, Nestle drew it, but Penny did the alterations. I'll have a word and see what we can come up with. But yes.
Yay.
He's gonna. It's believed he'll increase taxes, which I understand. It's either that or austerity, and they don't want to do austerity again. I can understand that as well because I was unemployed during that when it was introduced. It hurt. Okay, good luck living on £5 a week. It's not easy, especially when you spend about 3 hours a day walking around a city trying to find reduced food so you can make it last. It is not the way to live. I promise you that. And it's not something I'll ever repeat. I've made it a point not to let it happen again. Well, mostly by actually putting money aside, which is quite nice. Yes. And so there's the belief from from Whitehall that taxes are going to go up for a lot of people, and I feel sorry for them. I really do. But there's no way nobody thought there wouldn't be a consequence to furlough. There was always going to be a consequence. Even I will suffer a consequence for the self-employment income support scheme of some kind in the future. But because I'm low income, I don't think it'll be as devastating as it would be on others. There is a belief that the education secretary is going to be fired, but somehow it's been everyone but him. So it's been heads of, I think, Ofsted, which is one of the education boards that they inspect schools to make sure they're up to spec and all that. There's another one, Ofqual, whatever they're called. Another one of those sort of boards that deals with things. Their head's gone as well. It's gotten, and then somehow the bungling idiot who is to blame for this, the nonsense that affected students, still has a job. Okay, cool.
Now, I have a question for you. You said that they were raising taxes on people making 5 to 6 figures.
Yeah.
So theoretically, somebody who is making 60,000 a year,
possibly, wouldn't
that absolutely cripple your middle class?
That's the worry, because there's already some rather high taxes. If you earn over 150,000 a year, the tax is pretty high anyway. It's like, I think it's 45 pence for every pound afterwards. Or was it 40?
Almost like a gradual tax is fucked up.
The tax brackets are a bit mucked up at the moment. But
I like flat tax.
I do know someone who earns a significant... I know a couple actually do earn quite high up that ladder, and I do believe they're going to get hit really... Based on what we know, it is likely they'll get hit hard. But we won't know for sure until the Chancellor delivers his budget speech. There will be an autumn budget speech. There always is every year. I'm nervous because furlough schemes are winding down now. So now, with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs anyway, this will be very interesting to see what they're going to do to reignite the economy. Because the only companies that have truly benefited from lockdown, and we know this, were those that predominantly operate online like Amazon. And that's not a shot at Amazon, it's a statement of fact. We know they succeeded because the numbers were released. There were articles written because of how well they did. And that's not me being salty jealous, it's a statement of they did well. Congratulations. I know that other companies that have done well are getting a bit salty as well. I did see... I kept the sources for this week, maybe a This Week at Twitter video. Did I put them aside on my little hidden server? Oh yeah, the co-op. There was a to do with the co-op. Thousands of co-op members took part in a democratic vote on responsible advertising at the company's 2018 AGM, a big group meeting, and did so in good faith and with the expectation that the company's management would respect the result of that vote. But then they have been promoted in the Spectator, who have been accused of transphobia, which has led to a bit of a call out for those involved with that. Many of whom in politics. Andrew Neil, TV presenter for BBC, being one of those people who's like, nah, fuck you, cult, we're done with your shit. You can't just blame everyone else and then accept what others say without looking into the politics of it or actually looking into the incident in question and just paying lip service to look good.
Mm.
It's tangibly connected to politics, but it kind of is. Spectator is trying to be more impartial as the years go by, apparently, and they're doing better than others. It's not the easiest, but the main thing is. Go on.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking about something because you're talking about your
education
right. secretary.
Oh, Creek.
What's it called? The
Creek.
how's your country going with the whole reopening schools thing?
As far as I'm aware, smoothly. My nieces only did though, because they're in like the first years. The two of them are anyway. So Creek. They don't go to bigger school yet for another 4 or 5 years, even 6 for one of them.
So similar to a daycare almost.
No. It's like primary school. Aged one's nearly 7 and one's just 4. So it's like year 1 or something else. One's turning 7 soon anyway. I think 7, 6. I don't know their ages. They're in a younger school. A very we don't call it that preschool or anything like that over here. Because they've been through that, I think. But as far as I'm aware, they start opening soon. So I'm not entirely sure yet. I will keep you updated on that one. Hopefully,
yeah, I'm curious just because it's an interesting forecast, at least in a more isolated sense than we could look at here in the U.S. Unfortunately, the U.S.'s media information when it comes to coronavirus is often confusing because you'll get information that is nationwide, or you'll get snippets of information that are from specific places.
Yeah.
Which, unless you go looking for it, you can't necessarily find the stuff that's really related to your county, which I think is really, really unfortunate because it shouldn't be hard to find this information. It should be widely available, right?
Agreed.
So it's interesting to watch a smaller country or a more almost like a no, it's not a control group. It's almost just like a test group for a densely populated and higher up economic country to see how they do in smaller areas.
Yes,
it's very, very interesting.
I agree, and that's...
and I want to see how it goes compared to like places you could look at Austin, you could look at like Denver. I want to see like isolated cases and kind of just like randomly pick out some large cities and then some rural areas and see how it goes. Thank you, Not a Great Gamer, for the 99 pence.
Pence.
Yeah.
Very generous of you. Thank you very much.
I'm learning British speak.
You are. And back to the British speak. So many know that watched the video on Wednesday. I referenced that EU have cancelled a trade talk because not enough progress was made over the summer. But there has been some discussion yesterday when it came to an 8th round of discussions. There's only 6 weeks left, by the way, that they can negotiate this deal before we have to go down the no-deal route. 6 weeks. Well, 5 now, I think, is at this point. The EU is adamant that the issue of fishing rights have to be resolved before we can move forward. The EU want the EU fishing boats to retain their current access to UK waters, but the UK understandably wants to give UK boats priority. The chief negotiator... Oh, yeah.
Are you... That's insane.
Let me finish this. This gets better. Michel Barnier, the chief negotiator, has said that the United Kingdom will have full sovereignty of its waters, but the fish within them is another story.
Interesting.
That's not what sovereignty means, Michelle.
Hold on. Okay. So, all right. Well, are the fish the citizens of the EU or the UK? Tell me.
I can't tell you at this point.
What is their sovereign leanings?
So, I don't know. I really don't. Maybe they're
I
carrying little EU flags or been tagged with EU tags. The EU's negotiator said that Number 10's like refusing to compromise on this, but there are UK sources from the negotiating team in the UK that say that Barnier is being misleading. Right? He genuinely thinks that the EU should have access to our waters, right? Because it's a big thing for their economy.
Well, of course it is.
And also, our waters are quite vast.
I get so fucking. I know they are. I mean, they used to be vaster, but you know, they used to be much bigger when you guys, controlled the world. But
Yes, well, different times and all that.
yes. But I get so pissed off on behalf of the UK when the EU asserts their will over your country's waters and their fishing rights just because France needs it. Who the fuck cares?
Exactly.
Okay, if Canada wanted to go and fish in off the coast of Maine, you know what they would do? They'd fucking strike a deal with the United States. If we wanted to, if Gulf of Mexico got to be like a turbulent area for people to like go and do things in, and Mexico and the U.S. were like, oh no, this is ours. No, it's ours. All right, you guys want to like discuss that? We'd be like, yeah, sure. But apparently the EU or just France, I don't know, fucking France. I haven't heard much from Trudeau lately. I've been, sorry, not Trudeau, fucking Macron.
Macron, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard too much about Trudeau. That's why I keep thinking of him.
No one cares about Macron because he has an approval rating lower than Trump's, and he's a cuck.
I know. I mean, during the Yellow Vest protest, what was it, fucking 29%?
19.
19?
I remember
God.
it was 19%.
That's awful. But, watching France try and say that they own anything, or they have, we'll call it privilege,
sure,
over anything in UK waters is absurd.
So there is a bit more that makes this even more amusing. There is a French MEP called Pierre Karlskin, or spelled Karlskind. He's the chairman of the European Parliament Fishing Committee. He is defending Michel Barnier on this, saying that negotiations boil down to you want something, I want something. But that's not the EU stance. The EU stance is we want something, we get something. We take something, you get nothing. We control you even if you're not a member. That is their stance. There's no point saying it's anything else than that. We have seen this over the years.
Look, over there. It's the UK.
To be fair, Germany are chair of the EU Council at the moment, so
I know they are.
So
I know.
If my nieces weren't asleep, I'd be screaming, "Oh hell, Führer!" No, I wouldn't. No, just we're not going to do that. It's amusing.
Führer Merkel, hello.
She has no real power in Germany anyway. It's fine. She may be the top tog, but she's a lame duck. Everyone knows this. It's funny. But so essentially, this is all going nowhere because they want something from us that we can't give them. Those waters are ours. We have the best. It's clear. We have the best fisheries. Otherwise, this wouldn't be such a big issue. That's obvious. If our fisheries weren't so bountiful, they wouldn't be begging it, right?
You know what's really good about your guys, your fisheries? You know what you do in order to make them so good? Take care of them.
Yeah, they don't take care of. I mean, they might have some. I mean, okay, I'll give the EU a little bit of credit here. They a little bit of benefit of doubt and all that. They have many of their countries don't have much coastal regions. They don't have those extra 12 miles off the coast that everyone else gets. But our waters go beyond 12 miles. Our fisheries are... okay, hang on. I will get this picture.
Thank you, Tiana, for the $5.
It's very generous of you, Tiana. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can put a picture on the screen to give this... Just so you can understand how big our waters will be. Here we are. Right. Can I shrink that down a bit? Yes, I can. Okay, so on the screen near Barnier, little bitch, is a picture. It's a bit small. I do apologise, but that red line. So the patrol zone. Oh, okay. With the tentacle on the way. Thank you, Tiana. That's very kind of you. I know Trups already said it already. So the 12 miles of the coastline is actually a hazy line around the border of our country, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what you're now seeing is UK waters. The red line is UK waters. That's all that we get back. That is not much when you think about it, and yet we can get several hundred million from it. Right? If we don't give it back, if we don't let the EU have access to that, that's more money in our pocket, and we don't forfeit about $500 million to them, because that's what they would get from our waters.
Mm-hmm. So here's an interesting conundrum. Do you remember you remember the Ramonas, if you will?
Now
Um,
rejoiners, yes.
yes, and how they said that the
Going in.
UK economy would essentially collapse.
Oh god, yeah.
What do they think about this fishing debacle?
I have heard nothing from them. I've heard
Because
absolutely nothing, and it's very strange. I know that there are some politicians again still trying to find a way to cancel Brexit by implying some Russian interference, but that's yielded nothing. Let's.
Classic.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I will go for Ian Blackford, the paper pervert.
favorite.
Let's see. Promising to respect indie vote. Ian Blackford holiday. Once in a generation wording. Let's have a look. Let's go to his Twitter. Okay, he retweeted a football thing because it's rubbish. Public dental service. He hasn't said anything. No, he's been very, very quiet actually. Oh, hang on. Tory lies agreement. Hang on. Edinburgh agreement. That's something else. No, one of the biggest Ramonas has been quiet.
Well, the reason I ask is because you'd imagine that somebody who was so concerned about the economy would be flipping over this potential encroachment on the rights of the UK and the safety and security of the people of the UK to hold and keep their national interests. Yeah,
Yes.
but apparently not so much.
Yeah, apparently not so much.
Hmm.
This though, this fisheries here, the water. Oh boy. I mean, the interesting thing is we don't patrol that far out. So they're going to fish in our waters anyway. We know they will because they're dicks. The EU have proven themselves to be dicks as well. Want fun? Look up Gary Lineker. Okay, so I know this already, Bjorn. It was okay. So Gary Lineker, for those who don't know, was a soccer player, very famous actually, one of the greatest soccer player strikers of all time, but has some of the funniest gaffes. As in, he had a football in front of the goal, and he was like 2 meters out, and he still managed to get it.
Who missed?
Sorry,
This is a guy who missed point blank.
he missed point blank. It went straight over the bar. Yes.
Oh my god! I remember watching this video and it was depressing.
He also had diarrhea once and sat down on the pitch and shit himself and smeared it over the pitch. He then went on to shake someone's hand. And,
Classy.
right, so he's very pro migrant, very pro EU. He's a commentator on the BBC's Match of the Day, where they review football matches or soccer matches. And yeah, he's very pro-migrant to the point where people said, if you're so pro-migrant, why don't you have some in your rather massive home? To which, yesterday or the day before, he said, I'm going to take one in then. Because my kids don't live here anymore. Yes,
Fair.
that's how you own the trolls. How about you just admit you... I mean, credit to him for actually doing it.
Right.
But I'll be honest, if it took that to make him do it, it says a lot about what it took to get him to virtue signal.
Well, honestly though, like, I'd rather that, honestly, because nothing pisses me off more than these politicians standing on empty platitudes as they virtue signal from their fucking ivory tower and looking
Mm-hmm.
down at us, saying that, you guys, we believe in this in America,
Mm-hmm.
or the UK for you guys.
Yes.
And then they themselves are like, no, 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 but like you guys believe that. We're gonna go do something else.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
this is all
the biggest
really
thing, at least that
yeah.
happened like this week for us, was the whole Nancy Pelosi in a
Salon.
fucking,
Yeah.
yeah, salon
I
without a
know, I know.
mask.
We'll get to that. The thing is, it's happened to other celebrities in the past. J.K. Rowling is one. Lily
Hmm.
Allen, a air quotes singer, was another. Neither of them bothered to though. So it's it's fascinating, but it's just yeah. With the waters though, back to that to finish up. This
Hmm.
is the sticking point. This, and I just think the fact we're leaving somehow terrifies that they're aware that they're going to lose a lot of money. Have they considered regenerating their own reserves and not eroding at our own? Or better yet, have you considered not fishing in our water and accepting the L? Because this is a huge sticking point for you. Prior to that, the only issue that was had was the issue we had with the withdrawal agreement that and the joint report that was signed by Theresa May that fucked up Northern Ireland and Ireland. But now the problem is actually on their side, which is really interesting. Because if they really want something from our waters, we shouldn't be listening to the likes of what the fuck was that French politician called again? Oh yeah,
One.
Pierre Calscan. We shouldn't be listening to him at all.
Bless you.
Saying you want something, I want something. No, no, because that's thank you. It's not about you want something.
Thank you. You got the joke.
Yeah, it's not about you want something as in us. It's you want something, the EU, and we want no. We do not want you to have access to what is a fantastic commodity for this country. Piss off. Okay, I'm done with this now. I'm gonna leave it.
True.
Okay, so what's been going on in America then, Trups?
So there's been a couple things. I mean, we touched on the Nancy Pelosi and the salon thing, so I guess
Oh,
we'll go on to that because that's kind of funny.
it is. I'd heard. Go for it. Go nuts.
Um, yeah, we'll talk about that, and then we'll go into the riot thing and the impending civil war. Um, so Nancy Pelosi went back to San Francisco and went to a salon, and there was a video that was released to Fox News of her inside that salon not wearing a mask. Um, and the political media right basically like hounded her for it because she is one of the most influential Democratic legislators in the United States. And by Democratic, I mean Democratic Party, not like Democratic, like I believe in a vote kind of thing. And it has gotten to the point where Nancy Pelosi has actually said outright that she was set up by that salon for that scoop, and that she demands an apology from the salon for not telling her that she needed to wear a mask in her own district.
Oh, she's
And
a San Francisco girl, is she?
yeah.
I like the idea that someone stitched up in San Francisco, because as is known, there are many red voters there.
Yeah, so many.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so apparently, she was under the impression that in that salon, she was allowed to not wear a mask in a place of business, and the comment from several political YouTubers has been, "Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking it, Speaker Pelosi. Uh, Technically, you just showed everyone that the fact that there are several places of business that are not allowed to open because of people who you say will not conform to COVID guidelines, while you yourself have walked into that such business and proceeded to not do the thing that everyone apparently is supposed to be doing, just shows the level of hypocrisy or out of touch, sentiment. Either way, though, it shows a major fault on the Democrats for either not knowing what's going on in their own districts or not caring.
What do you think's more likely in this case, though?
Honestly, not caring. Or actually, I think it's actually a little bit of both, and here's why. I think that they're so used to applying rules to other people that they wouldn't think twice about living their lives normally because they've just done this for so long.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a little bit of both. It would have started out as malicious, and at this point, it's just habit. It's no excuse, though, and I want to drive that point clear. It's not an excuse, but it's very it's awful.
I do think, well, yes, this does cause a bit of a stir. I can imagine some people sitting back and being like, one of us, she's fighting for our freedoms. I got so much stick on Monday's video about the COVID protesters, so I said I wouldn't make any more videos on COVID-19 because it's now gotten to the point where there's more conspiracy theorists in my comments who usually watch my content anyway that I'm just sat back like, I just want to make it easier on myself, so I'm just going to wear a mask when I go in a shop, even though majority of people I see now don't. Until told otherwise, I think I'll stick to my lane. And as I'm told for now, be controlled like good chattel.
Well, is it just your comment section that's freaking out?
Oh, BitChute went absolutely knocking farts. It was hilarious.
What did you say that the COVID
Nope.
guidelines were like? Did you like slam them,
Nope.
or were you?
I merely reported on it and said people were there, and that I also said that I'm not in favor of mandatory vaccine. I'm in favor of vaccines.
Karma, to do a video about COVID conspirators would be long.
It won't just be long. It'd be universally panned on this platform. I promise you that. Because the people who are very much very tinfoil hatty will be there quick, and they'll be there to absolutely destroy you.
Yeah.
So I think I'll stick to not doing videos on it. It's much easier.
In America, they the divide has gotten so bad, and it's not just the racial tensions that are exemplified in Kenosha or Portland, and it's not just COVID. These divides have become actual trenches on a battlefield at this point.
Mm-hmm.
People have dug in, laid barbed wire, and are now looking across dead man's land to see anybody who jumps across.
Yeah.
You have a situation right now where Joe Biden is trying to basically cater more towards a Trump image, in that he went from saying that he would get rid of fracking in Pennsylvania to now realizing that he was losing support in his own home state, is now flipping on that opinion, and has made several speeches in Pennsylvania basically saying, no, we're not going to get rid of fracking. He's talked about how he is now stressing law and order, and Trump has never even dared to condemn the violence that's happening in these cities. And a lot of people who are paying attention to the news are kind of looking at him cockeyed and like with a head tilt going,
bruh,
are you sure about that?
I was thinking, well, why the fuck you lying?
Well, I mean, it's why the fuck you lying, but like, you know how politicians are supposed to be a little bit sneakier with how they lie? This was a hard one to pull off. But there is a modicum of truth in it. There is the sentiment was framed in such a way that said that if Trump is reelected, do you honestly think the violence will stop? And a lot of people answered no. If Biden was elected, what do you think? Do you think the violence would stop? A lot of people said yes.
Hmm.
Now, the reason why is because everyone kind of knows what side these protests and riots are on. Like, it's pretty fucking obvious to anybody who's looking at it. It's not a right-wing protest. It's not it's not, you know, the conservative party who is out there looting you know, minority owned businesses and torching cities in the name of racial justice. So, okay, if Trump was elected, do you think the violence would stop? No. Why? Well, the answer is because the left wingers will still be angry. So, okay, then the contrary. If Joe Biden wins, will the left stop? Yes. Why? Because they won. Maybe. The answer is maybe. That's the biggest worry. You think this is going to happen. It's almost like media pundits are assuming that the Democratic Party can just wave their hand and all the riots will stop.
Hmm.
You know what the implication of that is, though, right? It means that they told them to go.
Oh no.
Now, that's where the conspiracy theory comes in. But realistically, it's not that. It's not actually that a Democrat, you know, said, "Okay, rioters, we're going to start in Portland. You know, we sent in our mole police officer of, you know, 20 plus years on the force to kill this black man that we also placed here." Like, no. That's not what happened. That's not what I'm insinuating. I'm not saying this is any grand conspiracy organized by the Clinton Foundation. I'm not.
I am.
It's thank you. But what
I got you back, brother. Don't you worry.
yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man. If you find out that, like I just said, you know, I just find myself hanging, it wasn't a suicide.
Yeah.
Um, but no, realistically, it's people got angry. People started rioting, and the left believes that they can now curb and manipulate this group to their will. Um, if you basically give them what they want, you theoretically could, you know, stop, right? You could make it stop.
Yeah.
The problem is that left wing doesn't the at least the establishment left wing doesn't realize that the people who are rioting aren't looking for a way out. If they honestly were like, if their demands were clear, if like it was, we want justice for, let's just put it back to like the Ferguson riots. If it was, we want justice for Mike Brown. Okay. Well,
Damn it.
back in the Ferguson riots, you had a whole bunch of people who were protesting for a long time. And then it was the night that they had announced that the officer would be let off, like that he was found not guilty of murder, the riots began. That made sense. I don't agree with them, but they made sense. They were angry because justice was not served in their eyes. George Floyd died. Okay. Then the officer was arrested. Okay. What are you still mad at? Oh, well, then Jacob Blake was shot. Okay. Well, he's not dead. The officers are arrested. Or I think they're suspended, actually. I'm not sure. But no, I think they are arrested. And okay, so what do you want? Oh, well, there was a guy in March in New York City. He had gotten killed because, you know, an officer had handcuffed him and put him down on the pavement after he had a quote unquote mental episode in which he was naked and screaming. By the way, he was on PCP. And he died a day later. I mean, this, I don't know how to give you justice on that one. Hmm. I guess we'll suspend them with pay, said the New York police. And so that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you guys want? We want reparations. I mean, okay. How do you want to do that? We're gonna take it. Oh well, hang on a second. We went from something clear cut in these Black Lives Matter protests, and now you're looting stores. I'm a little confused. And so it's the constant shifting of goalposts that makes it almost impossible to actually
Question:
placate the mob. Sure.
if people are getting reparations from looting, does that mean once they've done their looting, the reparations have been paid?
No.
Then
Of
maybe
course
the
not.
looting was a silly idea.
Yeah, well, a city in North Carolina had actually voted to do reparations, and then they realized they had no idea how to do that.
Shocker.
They voted for it, though. So it's going to be a weird one to do that.
Does it
But
impact? Will it impact other people who get taxed a bit more heavily to pay for it or something?
no, it's probably just going to be government fucking, fucking checks, honestly.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, them Trump bucks? Question mark?
Air quotes.
I don't know. Something seems really fucked up about the left demanding reparations from
Mm-hmm.
a an administration that they deem as racist.
A little bit, yeah.
So doesn't that so you want racist money?
I think they
You
do.
you want a payout from the guy that you think is a race? Doesn't this sound like servitude to you?
It does.
I don't know. It sounds worse. Like the more you like say it out loud, you're like, wait a second. Um, but no, the riots have gotten even worse now, because they keep finding more things to be mad at, right? And the more interesting piece of this that has gotten a lot of people talking
Mm-hmm.
was the killing of Aaron Danielson. Now, how much do you know about who Aaron Danielson was?
I know very little.
Aaron Danielson was a member of the right wing Patriot Prayer. And it's a right wing group, and they were holding a rally in Portland. And as he was walking away, as the video shows, you had a couple of guys screaming, "Hey, we got us a couple over here." Yeah, that's right. Pull it out. And then he was shot and died.
Oh no.
The alleged shooter, Michael Forrest Reinl? Sure, Reinl. Um, was we'll call him a protester for lack of a better way, because I don't know if he was actually part of the riots. I assume he was, but I have no proof to say he was. All I know is that he carried a gun to a protest and then shot somebody. Had a large Black Lives Matter tattoo on his neck as if he was in a gang. Um, he had given an interview to Vice, and then the next day, he got into a shootout with the police, and now he's dead.
Great.
Yeah, you know what the best way to prove your point is if you believe that you are righteous?
Mm-hmm.
Get into a firefight.
Yeah,
Clearly,
that
at
proves
least that was
everything.
his thoughts. And unfortunately, now we have a group of people in the left wing mob who, at the time of Aaron Danielson's death, were saying, "I don't care that a fascist died tonight." And they were cheering about it and celebrating it. The video. It's very fucked up.
It sounds it, to be
Uh,
honest.
the Proud Boys didn't like that. Proud Boys said that they were going to march on Portland. They're planning on it. Well, now it's been you kill one of ours, now one of yours is dead. So we have a very, very tense situation in the northwest of this country right now, because as far as we're aware, at least objectively speaking, the left killed one on the right, and then what the left deems as the right, being that police are included in that, have now killed one of the left.
Yeah.
So what next? I want to point out that both these guys were white. Just want to point that one out. But he was an ally, right? So you have a couple of ways that this could go. Now, Trump has been doing some things in the background. He's been he circulated a memo this week that said that he would start defunding states that would not get control of their rioting cities. A lot of people were like, that's bullshit. Why? Why is it bullshit? The situation in places like Oregon is that you have a governor and Mayor Ted Wheeler who is trying to literally bend over backwards for their protesters, trying to join them at one point. And then the protesters went to his flat and tried to set it on fire. And so he said he'll move.
Not the only ones
I want to point
moved.
out there was 117 other people who lived in that building. Or at least there were 117 other flats in that building.
Not the only person to move, though. There are others that have done it after they
bet
backed
you they
this.
all fucking left.
Yeah, they backed this, and you made your bed in this one.
Yeah, but now, I mean, how many other people are you going to let die? There have been so many deaths now as a direct cause of these riots that they've killed more than they've allegedly tried to save.
Oh, that's not a good statement to make, is it?
No, it's not. But if you say that, in 2019, there were 13 black men unarmed black men who were killed by police, and you look at the 37 dead people now as a result of the riots, there might be more, actually. I'm not sure anymore. I've lost track. But if you look at that now, and you go, wow, we've doubled it. We've more than doubled it. We've almost tripled it. Just in deaths in general. Was it worth it? 38 and counting. Thank you, Seth. That's the state of the riots, and a lot of people are now circulating the belief that we are going to enter into a civil war in this country. I believe you. I believe it. Honestly.
I just want to remind you that 93% of Black Lives Matter protests in the USA were peaceful.
Oh yes, 93%. That's a pretty high number. But you know what's also a startlingly high number?
What is?
That 7% weren't.
Mm.
There's a very important word in that First Amendment that we have that allows for peaceful protest, and it's that Congress shall make no law infringing on the people's right to peaceably assemble. That peaceably word, that's the one that gets people a little bit. And even Chris Cuomo at one point a couple months ago actually fucked that one up, where he goes, show me where it says that protests have to be peaceful.
Yeah, there's a
and
video.
Some asshole made a video where he's eating cereal, and he just goes right there.
Not only that, he was eating a pack of ramen that was just dry. as if it was
Oh,
crisps or something. Yeah, and he
look,
just
right there.
he just it was so fucking funny. Russell. Duck
But the
Dog,
worst
No
part is
Lives Matter, Cthulhu 2020. Thank you for the $2. That's incredibly generous of you,
true.
and I
And
tend to agree.
Chicago is scary, Big Gay L. You're right. Chicago is terrifying right now, as is New York.
But Chicago has
You know,
one really interesting thing going on right now involving
oh,
juicy small bits, and I'm waiting for that to reach its conclusion because it's really funny to me.
me too. But
Otherwise, it's
the
terrifying.
but the I'm more terrified of New York right now.
New
There was a
York,
guy who ran people over last night
Oh, in Times Square, yes.
in Times Square. Somebody drove I think it was a dark sedan
Hey, look, it
through
cries up in there.
protesters
Yeah.
last night. And I'm gonna be honest, that's kind of fucked up. It strikes me so much like do you remember the videos of Charlottesville?
Yes, I remember that because that was really no, that wasn't a good video.
Do you remember that was actually it started as a peaceful protest?
It did.
I mean, it was fucking weird looking, but it
Oh
started as a
yeah.
peaceful protest. The Hawaiian shirts and fucking tiki torches was a weird one, but whatever. You do you, I guess.
People forget that because they are immediately drawn to that one thing with that one car, or
Yeah,
that one
which was a Dodge.
numbnut.
Which was a Dodge.
Well, that name of irony there, I guess. It's just that one
But New
person
York
who
is
was
terrifying.
already ostracized by those same people that he supposedly
The driver was
supported.
being attacked by BLM troops. I know. I know. Doesn't matter though. It's not going to matter in the media.
No,
I
there's
know it. I know it, and you know it, and everybody who watches the video is going to know it.
optics will flay them, and
Mm.
whether we support them or not, it won't matter.
It definitely doesn't matter, especially if I say right now that what he did was understandable in the course of being attacked by other people and trying to get out of the way.
Yeah.
It won't matter if I tell you that he mowed down protesters in a blind fury. It's not going to matter. And the only reason I say it doesn't matter is because regardless, the media will spin it, and the vast majority of people will see that and go, I don't care. It happened. I see it how I see it. It's my truth, and I will riot because of it. And that's where you have big cities, democratic cities, going absolutely down the shitter. You have New York, where this week there was an attempted rape in broad daylight on a public subway platform, and it was caught on video. There have been people who have literally just walked up and shot people in New York. There is something fucked going on in New York. And Andrew Cuomo had the audacity to say that when Trump had circulated the memo that I mentioned earlier, had the audacity to say that if Trump came to New York, he would need an army to protect him. Sounds like a threat.
Isn't Trump
Sounds like
from New York?
Yes, he is.
That's what you say to one of your own people.
Yeah,
It's not the right
exactly.
kind, of course.
No, he's not. In fact, we were going to ignore the fact that Trump helped gentrify and actually bring up the property value of a lot of New York City, and actually helped move crime out of the way, along with Rudy Giuliani. But we won't talk about that. But we will talk about the fact that Andrew Cuomo says that he'll need an army. That New Yorkers don't want Trump, but Cuomo is directly responsible for thousands of people dying from COVID
To be honest, I'm
after
waiting for him to
being
storm
placed.
Cuomo's house at this point.
I'm kind of waiting for it. But you know what's funny is that these leftists and these Democrats, especially the more popular ones, they have the ability to hire private security.
Okay.
You know, that's interesting because they want to defund the police. Okay. So if you defund the police, then only the rich get access to any kind of security, right? Unfortunately. Where does that leave us? Where does that leave the people? Well, nowhere. Unfortunately, that means that we're fucked, and they'll be sitting pretty with a paid security force or security detail on them at all times. So, yeah, they might storm Cuomo's house. I don't know.
How long do you think it'll be until it's like New York City as or the state of New York can go back to any semblance of normality?
That depends.
On
Depends on if Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo get voted back into office.
isn't that
If
a bit of a given though?
I don't know, honestly. You see, the media influence in this country is very strong. There are people who I see on Facebook every day who genuinely believe that which MSNBC, CNN, ABC, and the like are saying when it says that, uh, you know, Joe Biden wants to stop the protests, but Trump does not. When they say that Trump is trying to rig the election, Trump is not.
Huh? Yeah, Russia interference again.
Oh yes. Well, actually, they made comments at his Postmaster General of the U.S. Postal Service. His last name's LaJoy. They actually called him into a hearing in Congress to basically say, why are you removing these post boxes? And they said, well, because they're old, because people aren't using them, because it costs more to have our people go and check those boxes when nothing is in it. And it's easier for us to just take them out of commission, or we're going to replace them and they're obsolete and we need better ones. Either way, the optics of it inquired the wrath of the media, who said that they were removing post boxes in order to stop people from doing mail-in votes.
I remember hearing about that. It sounded a bit
Yes,
stupid when I first heard it.
it was, and it was really funny because as soon as that congressional hearing had happened, and LaJoy basically said, "No, the U.S. Postal Service is ready, willing, and able to handle mail-in ballots. We will not stop the election. We will deliver and get our stuff in on time."
Okay.
You started not hearing a word about that ever again. Not never again. Um since that week I have not heard it. And that was, I think, the early last week. I haven't heard a single thing about it. So now we have basically every attack that we can that the Democrats can muster against Donald Trump. They are beginning to try it. And we're in a place where the media has such a good hold on so many people in this country
Mm.
that
This
no
reminds me of
matter
something.
what. Oh, what's up?
There was a video that was trending on Twitter. It was circulating. It was this woman who was very proud. She wanted to go back to LA, but she's in Ohio because Ohio is a swing state. And she wanted to go back to LA to be with her girlfriend. They've just rekindled and they wanted to go on their first date, but she had to go back to Ohio because her parents at the last election voted Trump. Before that, they voted for Obama. They're registered independents. And she wanted to go home to make sure they voted for Biden at the next election. Because if they don't, America will never recover from the damage he brings to gay people, especially.
I've always wondered that.
Even though he appointed someone quite high up that is in fact gay. Okay.
I've always been curious at the complaints about Trump and the
Chair Creek.
LGBTQ, especially when it comes to I mean, the only one that I really understand was their comments about, I believe it was trans people serving in the military, and I understood why they made that comment. And I agree or disagree on that situation. Like, I understand the merits of both sides of it, and I don't necessarily have an opinion, to be honest.
It did seem a bit weird.
It was weird. It was definitely weird, but I don't necessarily know if I have like a legitimate thought on it.
I do remember talking to
Um,
Magog about that because some said it was to do with the GI Bill, and he himself having had one, having
mhm.
had one, he pointed out that the cost-effective issue that the many argued was not true, and therefore there was still no legit reason to exclude, based on the parameters many had posited. Not
Mhm.
to say there wasn't a valuable reason when it came to medication or serving on front line if you are or you
Okay.
require some additional
My
medication.
biggest, I think my biggest like understanding of the point was that a lot of people who are trans end up developing severe mental um, problems, and very few um, end up like being able to handle extremely stressful situations, especially as a result of their hormone therapy, and their bodies are basically going through something that they weren't ever supposed to go through in their lives, which is essentially, a gender, reprogramming of their entire like endocrine system. So their bodies are going to react in a bunch of strange ways that we still don't really know about to this day, because we simply don't have the data to figure out what happens. Um, but I kind of understand the point when they say that it's more of a liability. Um, and I don't know necessarily how to feel on it though. But I do recognize the merits of both of these things. Um, I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not either, to be honest.
But I never thought that Trump has ever enacted policies that, in terms of the American people, has been overtly discriminatory, based on race, gender, sexual orientation, class, etc. I don't think I don't know. I can think of a single thing that he has signed that has overtly, besides that one instance, um, you know, been outright wrong. I'm not sure. I honestly I don't remember. But Sith does make a very interesting point. Biden supports BLM, and have you been paying attention to what BLM does to gays and trans? It ain't good. There was a video that I had actually shared on Twitter where BLM protesters were circling around a gay black man, I think, called him a, I'm going to use the words, quote, coon faggot, demonetized. And that was BLM circling around this random black Trump supporter. And yeah, that's your left wing mob. The guy who there was another guy who had gotten beaten within an inch of his life. I think it was a week ago, who
Hmm.
was protecting a trans woman, and he was beaten, and I believe so was she, for a bit, until he stepped in. That was a video of the guy like coming up and punting him in the head, and he was basically on the ground bleeding out.
Ow.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. Um, but I hate to tell you that I'm almost used to hearing about terrible things happening in the morning now.
That's not
I hate to
nice.
I hate to say that I'm used to it now.
Bit tragic, really, isn't it?
It is, because I hate the fact that I hate that I'm used to it because this is an obscene part of our history. And for the most part, it didn't need to happen. I'm reminded every time I see these BLM protests of my childhood in the early 2000s. Um, because I'm a youngin'. I am reminded of watching, cartoons and kids shows where I saw things like Jake Long, American Dragon, Shaolin Showdown, that one was pretty racist. Static Shock, the Justice League, um, That's So Raven, Hannah Montana was on. Um, I'm trying to think of like all the shows on all the different channels that were kids shows. Basically, I saw a wealth of diversity and inclusion in my childhood, and I never quite understood what it was that they were complaining about here when they said that black people and people of color have not been represented. Really? I'm not so sure. I've I remember having a childhood filled with different people of color and different influences all the time.
Hmm.
I almost think that because of all these protests, they are doing the greatest service to actual racists.
Yeah.
They're giving them a reason. They're giving them ammo to be that racist. Shout out to the JLA members, Black Vulcan and Apache
Wait,
Chief.
JLA?
I was more
Oh,
referring to the
Justice League of
black.
America.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I was actually referring to John Stewart, the Black Green Lantern, because he was like one of like the
Oh, he
best
was a
Green
good. He
Lanterns.
was the best one.
Oh man, he was a badass man. John
I
Stewart and Hal Jordan, honestly, best.
no, Hal Jordan can
Hal Jordan's
die.
an asshole, but fucking John Stewart is like rock solid. He's so serious, and then when they put him with Barry Allen as the Flash, it's such a it's such a great
Good
duo.
chemistry. Good chemistry.
Yeah, very very good, and always a very unique experience and very fun
Mm-hmm.
to watch.
Agreed.
Um, and you watched a whole bunch of interesting things happen with those groups, and I think that they were great. Also, Martian Manhunter, he's not even he's a literal alien. um, John Stewart was surprisingly deep. I know he had such a great backstory and it was played out so well. I actually love the DC animated shit. They do so well. I wish their movies were half as good.
I'm
Not
looking.
the
To be
animated movies.
fair,
The animated movies
have
are
you seen the
great.
trailer for the Snyder Cut yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, it looks good. The
I may
trailer for
have
the
to watch
Snyder
it.
Cut of Justice League looks actually pretty banging
Um,
because even has Darkseid in it.
as it should have.
Although he's not wearing any armor.
It's okay. He can still do laser eyes.
It's just even Steppenwolf looks better. His armor reminded me of the Sentinels from second X-Men, more recent movies.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Reminded me of that. It looked better. It all looked better. It doesn't matter.
But my point is that I remember seeing so much diversity then, and now looking at it, I don't see nearly as much. It's almost like they're forcing people backwards.
Yeah, I don't quite get it.
Now I know that that last part was mostly tangential, but it was mostly just because I'm looking at these protests and these riots, and I'm going, "Are you really getting what you wanted, or are you actually making it worse?"
I yeah, the question, while open ended, I just want to answer it and say I do firmly believe, while they claim to stand up for something, they are fighting and what the result is utterly counter to achieving what they want. And I think that's pathetic. I think we're done, by
But
the way.
that's our lives right now.
It is creek coming. Hang on. There we go.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I had for today. Did you have anything to
Oh no, we're
shill this evening?
no. Okay. On Sunday, I finished reading or recording and editing a little. The next Moisky Reads video, which is The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan
Ooh, good
Poe.
one.
It will be out on Sunday, 8 p.m. GMT. I'm sure one of the mods could very kindly put it in the chat because I can't be bothered to go and get it. If you're interested in listening to some reading, yeah, please swing by. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to be more active, so since the last thing on there was 2 months ago, nearly 3, I think. Yeah, just swing by. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm normally in the Premiere chat anyway, and any criticism is always appreciated. What about yourself? Anything to shill?
No, because of my work schedule, I haven't had nearly the time or the patience to record and edit anything. However, I did get a message from Disconar while I was at work asking me to look at a video, so I may do that.
Expect a video from Trups, link to his channel in the
Oh,
description down below. Okay, well, we're done here. We'll be back here next Friday, I think.
yeah.
Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.